Mike Gallagher.
The years that I was in the Empire State Building the morning of September 11th, and so for me, we were pretty close to the devastation. I saw the towers fall with my own eyes. The local news covered the horrors of 9/11. There was a moment this morning, and I just have to get this off my chest. There are things that are more important than a televised debate. 23 years ago, we lost thousands of Americans at the hands of the kind of terrorists that today's progressives celebrate on college campuses. Hamas isn't any different than the 9/11 hijackers. Hamas wants to eradicate Jews, Christians, anybody who doesn't feel the way they do about the world. And there was a moment today, somehow, shockingly, Trump wound up standing next to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's Michael Bloomberg. Stood there with J.D. Vance. And they were all in a line. And look, I'm not going to turn into Pollyanna in front of your very eyes, but good on them for letting Trump be there. I don't know what the circumstances were. And Trump and Kamala shook hands in front of Joe Biden, who doesn't look like he knows where he is. I'm not kidding. It's so sad. This video is remarkable. If you're watching right now on Salem News Channel, we've got it posted for you. And we'll have Tracy send it out here in a few minutes. We'll get a good keyword. And it was a moment that was tinged with a little political rhetoric because people in the crowd were cheering for Donald Trump in front of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Chuck Schumer. You want to hear it? You want to play it? Let's play this clip. The morning after the debate, there's Trump and Kamala smiling, shaking hands, coming together in unity for the souls we lost on September 11th. Maybe you're going to be offended by this, but like it or not, the crowd wasn't cheering for President Biden. People in the crowd weren't cheering for Vice President Kamala Harris. They were cheering for former President Donald Trump. Now, you can say, and I will tell you that the Democrats look very uncomfortable. In fact, Bloomberg, who looks like he's about 5'1", he heaves a big sigh, like, oh my gosh. And they all look uncomfortable, except Trump and Vance, and they're smiling, and they're mouthing the words thank you to the crowd. This is the morning after the debate. The debate that people are saying was devastating for Trump. Oh, he's going to lose the election now. Oh, it's all... Stop it. Stop it. You're delusional. This country wants him to win. This country remembers 9/11 and was grateful that a Republican was in the White House when that happened. And this country knows that we have people of one political persuasion now marching through the streets of America celebrating that kind of terrorism. That's why the real change candidate is Donald Trump. I don't want you to forget what today is. It's September 11th. Means a lot to all of us at Team Gallagher. I've got one member of my team, Eric Hansen, who is still with me 23 years later. He and I were in the Empire State Building the morning of September 11th when the towers were hit. We were evacuated. We went out to my house on Long Island, and for days and days, my wife and kids were up in the living room crying and watching the coverage while I was down in the basement doing broadcasting over this horrific event. This morning in New York City, shockingly, Trump and J.D. Vance were both invited to attend 9/11 ceremonies, and they stood next to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. In a stunning exchange, first of all, Trump and Kamala warmly shook hands and greeted each other, and then you got to picture this, as they're all in a line, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, former Mayor Bloomberg, Biden, Kamala, and Chuck Schumer, as they were standing there in front of the crowd began chanting, "We love you, Trump. Go Donald. We need you, Trump." The Democrats looked stunned. They looked embarrassed. They were devastated. Even President Trump looked a little embarrassed. He nervously smiled and mouthed the words, "Thank you," repeatedly to his well-wishers. That's what happened in New York City today, the day after the debate. I promise you won't see much of that video tonight on ABC. You won't see that moment. We must never forget 9/11. And here at the Mike Gallagher Show, we have a couple of traditions. One of the traditions that I never want to fail to deliver on is presenting a musical reminder about who's in control. This was put together by the staff at our home in Los Angeles, KRLA Radio, years ago. And I make it a point to play it every single year because we tend to forget, even in our darkest hours, that God is with us. Last night at a sold-out movie theater in Seminole, Florida, my friend and colleague Bill Bunkley led all of us in a prayer before the debate, praying for Trump, praying for our country, praying for our leaders, praying for the American people. And it was a beautiful moment. In fact, I got carried away and I broke out in a spontaneous chorus of "God Bless America." The crowd joined in and we just loved it. It was a fantastic moment. Our faith matters. Prayer matters. You need to be involved and engaged in this election because the country's future is at stake, but you cannot forget that we're a Judeo-Christian nation. You cannot forget who's in control. And so with that in mind, I give you our annual recording that was done years ago by KRLA in Los Angeles. Proud to share this with you on the 23rd anniversary of September 11th, that horrific terror attack that took so much from so many.
You say you'll never forget where you were when you heard the news on September 11th, 2001. Neither will I. I was on the 110th floor in a smoke-filled room with a man who called his wife to say goodbye. I held his fingers steady as he dialed. I gave him the piece to say, "Honey, I'm not going to make it. But it's okay. I'm ready to go." I was with his wife when he called as she fed breakfast to their children. I held her up as she tried to understand his words. And as she realized he wasn't coming home that night. I was in the stairwell of the 23rd floor when a woman cried out to me for help. "I've been knocking on the door of your heart for 50 years. I said, "Of course, I'll show you the way home. Only believe in me now." I was at the base of the building when the priest ministered to the injured and devastated souls. I took him home to tend his flock in heaven. He heard my voice and answered. I was on all 4 of those planes, in every seat, with every prayer. I was with the crew as they were overtaken. I was in the very hearts of the believers there. comforting and assuring them that their faith has saved them. I was in Texas, Kansas, London. I was standing next to you when you heard the terrible news. Did you sense me? I want you to know that I saw every face. I knew every name, though not all know me. Some met me for the first time on the 86th floor. Some sought me with their last breath. Some couldn't hear me calling to them through the smoke and flames. Come to me, this way, take my hand. Some chose, for the final time, to ignore me. But I was there. I did not place you in the tower that day. You may not know why, but I do. However, if you were there in that explosive moment in time, would you have reached for me? September 11th, 2001 was not the end of the journey for you. But someday your journey will end, and I'll be there for you as well. Seek me now while I may be found. Then, at any moment, you know you're ready to go. I will be in the stairwell of your final moments. Remember, I love you.
That recording has become a very important part of our show, and I am proud to share that with you on this anniversary. Feel free, if you'd like to get that recording, just text the keywords Silent Night to our text line, which is 800-655-MIKE. We'll send it back to you, and perhaps you can share it with people you love, people you care about, maybe people who need him, because we must never, ever forget. May we never forget. So if you'd like that recording, please just text the keywords Silent Night to 800-655-MIKE, Silent Night to 800-655-6453, and we will be happy to share that with you. It's also posted on our website, mikeonline.com. Welcome in. We got a lot to tackle today. 800-655-MIKE is our number. Lines are jammed. Your call, your voice, your perspective on this day after the debate and on this 23rd anniversary of the horrific terror attacks of September 11th. Welcome in to the Mike Gallagher Show.